Welcome or welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Starr. For those that might find themselves here for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. We are the Light Renegades. We are a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from the veils beyond at this point, the veil that's non-existent, from beings that wish to communicate what is happening with regards to the planet at this time, that wish to share information on the expanse and how we can help ourselves further in our ascension process, or just gain more knowledge, I think, of this world is what I want to share, because I think I'm hesitant to keep sharing that, this is a galactic space, because it very much is, but we are entering a time where there is no separation between the galactic understanding and, where we find ourselves right now on planet Earth. And we've always been galactic. That's the bit that I think that we miss on our journey, everyone. And whether you consider yourself to be a starseed, a hybrid, or an entity that is of expanse, we all have galactic essence within us, everyone. So I want to just start calling it the realms, our realms. These are our realms to play with. And this very much ties into the message of today, the messages that will be, I think, coming forward from this being. And today's message is from Lucifer, everyone, which I know is potentially going to split the crowd. I definitely feel like there is going to be a strong collective or subsect of the collective that really does need to hear these messages. And I think it's going to perhaps align with some things that you might not necessarily be dealing with in your lifetime, but it might be others that you are connected to that are dealing within these realms. And I've taken some time to think about this, everyone, to think about the Darkness series, if I wanted to bring any more information forward with regards to that, just because of my own personal journey and how much my own physical vessel truly took on so much darkness the past 2 years, everyone. And there was a lot of karmic retribution within that for me, but it was a lot for me to contend with. And I think that I was very hesitant just to allow myself to be in spaces where there is an even bigger target on my back than there is already. And yeah, I think I just didn't want to be sat in such darkness. So for those that aren't in real time, I took some time off in January. I was told I was needing to take this time off. And I spent the entirety of January just compressing all of this dark energy that was living inside of me. And to those that, have been here for the longest time, I think that you perhaps will have seen this in me too. And I didn't know how much was inside of me until it started to leave my body. And that's when I realized just how much of this energy, one, I've had with me my entire life, and all of us Light Renegades have been here to harness a level of this darkness, which is the negative reptilian energy somewhere, everyone. And this is manifested in a whole manner of ways in my lifetime, which I will go into further into this channeling and later on in, I think, this mini series with Lucifer that I'm going to keep in the darkness playlist, because I think that it's beneficial there. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it where it is, but it's going to be a few channelings that we do have specifically with Lucifer coming forward, just to warn all of you at this time. And take some time to think about whether you want to be entering into those spaces, entering into those realms, because you do open yourself up to a layer of darkness somewhere, everyone. And I would be completely lying to you if I didn't say that that was the case. And I think this has to be, you have to tread with caution in all of these areas, but specifically when tapping into darker energies, darker essences. And I think this is something that gets missed time and time again on this journey, and this is what Lucifer is speaking about within this first channeling from him. This is not the first time I connected with Lucifer's energy. You can go back to the beginning of the Darkness series when I first speak about when I was just starting to communicate with Lucifer with regards to bringing him forward at a formal platform. But Lucifer has been in my energy for a really long time. I pledged allegiance to Lucifer at some point in my journey. This would have been in my teen years. And my life unfolded in all manner of ways after that, and that's been part of my soul's journey. That's been part of my soul's evolution, and it's been part of me getting to where I need to find myself right now. And there has been previous lives where I've been a whole manner of, I guess, darker beings, shadow beings, so that I could be here and access more light, everyone, I think is something that I would like to point out at this point too. And there was a massive hesitancy in allowing that to be my truth too somewhere. I think when I came back from January and I was purging all of this dark energy, I thought I can't go back to that. You know, I've had extensive talks with the GA, with all of my guys, spiritual and otherwise, to say I do not want to go back to that space that I was in, because it does feel like torture somewhere. And granted, you know, some of that was me having to do that karmically. Some of that was me agreeing to do that for the collective. And some of that was because of the information I was bringing forward. I had to sit with a layer of this darkness within me so that I could even access this information to bring forward to you with regards to, you know, channeling Jeffrey Epstein, with regards to channeling Aleister Crowley. I had to have some of this within me to be able to reach them and where they've been in their journey, everyone. So it's been a massive upheaval of a lot of dark energy. It's still purging it out to this degree, but it's the most minuscule amount compared to what it was and compared to what I've been sat with my entire life, everyone. And I think I got to a point where I was denying myself, denying who I believe myself to be, because I was having to face you know, my life path, what I've been through, and all the aspects of me that have allowed me to get to where I am today. And I think, you know, a lot of the time when you are watching videos, you receive a very, and I keep using this analogy, but like a cookie cutter version of, you know, a being of me somewhere. I feel like I've been stepping forward with, you know, the most polished version of me to some degree. I feel like most of the time I'm crying to all of you, so that's not necessarily true, but I think there was a layer of my shadow and my past that I think I was still ashamed of somewhere, that I wasn't willing to be brought forward to the surface through fear of, you know, ridicule or judgment. So I've been having to be okay with me in all realms, in all spaces, in all facets and manners of who I am. You know, it's every day I'm reminded that I'm not just in this space, and that is something that is brought to my attention often. You know, I see myself in other realms and other avatars, and, you know, I went through a period of literally being in combat fighting, you know, darker beings in other aspects, and I did absolutely love it, everyone. You know, somewhere my team say, you know, I love combat, like I love fighting somewhere, and I know that to be true, and I want to be my full self here. I want to be able to step forward and say that to all of you, and, you know, still be seen as light, still be accepted as light. And I hope that this gives you all, you know, the room to just not be perfect and be you. And I think as much as you are light, you are darkness. And I think a lot of the time we run away from that. And, you know, including myself, I was sat smack bang in the middle of such light and such dark. And I thought, how do I make this be, you know, a thing that I can bring together and bring forward? And I think I've still been figuring that out to some degree somewhere, everyone. But it's coming to a time where there is information that needs to be brought forward, and that's going to take me sharing, you know, a lot of my past, a lot of things that I'm perhaps not entirely proud of at this point in my journey, but also allowing you to see where perhaps some of your shadow aspects have also been, you know, infiltrated and stemmed from this negative reptilian order somewhere, everyone, which is the main message that Lucifer wants to bring forward today. But before I do that, I wanted to circle back into January, because I did a day-by-day kind of rundown of what was happening to me energetically, because I felt very much like I was going to bring this forward at some point to all of you. And what happened to me in January was that I was stripped down away from all of my connection to my guides and teams of light. They left me at full sensitivity of where I find myself in my physical vessel. So I had hypersensitivity, but they took away my connection from them. So what happened in January is what we were told always happens within every year. You know, the negative reptilians out there, they pump through this energy that is it is beyond understanding at this point, everyone. To the masses out there, you know, we're coming into a new year. Those that celebrate a new year in January, there is a lot of people that are asking for things, manifesting for things, even if they aren't in these spiritual realms or of the expanse. You know, people are planning their lives for the next year, and they're in well awareness of this. So in the height of everyone being excited about the new year, you know, we've just had Christmas, which is, you know, potentially a lovely time for most people out there. So then they pummel in a lot of negative energy at the beginning of January, just to like zap any sort of progress that you might have been feeling, with everything that you've cultivated in a nice, safe space. And I was feeling this at the most human level that I possibly could, but at my heightened sensitivity of being a Pleiadian, a galactic energy somewhere. And I was floored by this energy. I was completely taken off balance. I felt physically sick most days. It was probably some of the darkest moments that I've been in, aside from, having to work through my own personal journey. This was just darkness and despair beyond belief. And I thought, this is what is pumped in regularly to all of us. And, I was someone that was very much running on double speed at most times. And, I was jacked up on caffeine a lot, and I couldn't sit still. I couldn't, focus my energy on one singular thing. I was incredibly erratic as a person before I started my spiritual journey, and it made the most amount of sense to me that, me being a sensitive person my whole life, I was just picking up on this chaos and adapting it into my own lifestyle to make myself feel comfortable in being here. And it wasn't until the 25th of January, so this is 25 days solid of this incredibly dark and just physically painful energy coming in, being pumped in, that, the masses aren't necessarily aware of cognizantly, but we are feeling it to some degree in our physical body. And it shocked me. It shocked me how strong this energy was. It shocked me how powerful this energy was. And, my team stepped forward and said, this is exactly why you are doing what you are doing, to help people out of this trap and, to allow them to be set free from the constraints of this planet. And Anna Maria and myself, who was my fellow Pleiadian Star sister, got into a discussion the other day. And, I said that I see, planet Earth as being a prison planet. And she didn't like that terminology, and I completely understand why. But to some degree, in at least some of the timelines that we are in, the negative reptilians have just taken complete control over how we are living and feeling. And, I was in the epicenter of this, especially through lockdown. I felt like I was just understanding and feeling everything to its full capacity, and just feeling incredibly confused as to why I was living the life that I was living, and just feeling incredibly unsatisfied, and deciding that, I needed to make a change. Otherwise, I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I think a lot of people come to that point, and it was no surprise to me, why many people exit. And I hope that this doesn't trigger too many, but I feel like I have to be this blunt in my words, because that was the energy that I was feeling. For these 25 days, I thought, I cannot be here anymore. This is too much. I don't know what to do with this. And, somewhere we are feeling this constantly. And, this isn't us that are necessarily watching here in the here and now. We've built up our defenses, but all my defenses was taken down. So I was, essentially just human again to some level. And I thought there was so many souls out there that are feeling this at, such a high level that, they have to choose these life paths to make themselves feel comfortable. And then I started to have so much compassion for these people that are on a much slower timeline than we are, because I thought, genuinely, if I wasn't a Pleiadian, I don't think I would still be here. And that is fact. Time and time again, there has been many parts of my journey where I have brought myself to the brink of not being here anymore, everyone. And it makes the most amount of sense to me now, because this world as it stands right now is so incredibly difficult to try and navigate and be sensitive and, be receptive to the light. I think that's the biggest thing. It's very difficult to be receptive to the light when there is so much darkness around us at this time. And this is why we are here. This is why we are sharing this information, so that you are in awareness of this, so that then you can harness in your own energy and think, perhaps X, Y, and Z that I'm feeling isn't even coming from me at a heart-centered space, a soul-centered space. And, that goes with regards to everything. But I think sometimes we forget the differentiation between the negative energy that's out there that's being given to us and, what we think is inherently us. And that was definitely a cycle I was stuck on for a very long time. I felt like these energies, these specific voices specifically within my own self, I thought that they were mine. And, the the more that I've delved into this journey, the more that I've delved into this darkness energy, it wasn't me. It was never me that whole time. This was other beings stepping in, giving me this energy. I was allowing them into my energy field because I didn't know I had an energy field to begin with. And this is so many beings out there. This is so many humans out there, you know, allowing for this negative energy to impact their lives just simply because they are not aware of their energetic body. And this is probably part 3 of this understanding that Lucifer is wanting to bring forward, but I felt like it was really important to kind of set the scene for me allowing Lucifer to come in and share his understanding, because what he is going to bring forward, the message that he brings forward, ties into all of this incredibly well. And I thought, this is the next part of this journey. This is the next part that I think I've been incredibly hesitant to bring forward, because I don't think I've heard people discuss the negative reptilian order to such a degree. I think we kind of skirt around the edges a lot of the time, but we're getting to the human level, you know, the soul level of understanding and navigating everyday life with regards to how it affects us from the negative reptilian order. That is essentially the point that we're getting to with regards to all of this in the expanse, everyone. So I'm going to read the message from Lucifer, and I hope all of that made sense. I feel like I'm trying to bring in quite a lot of understanding from many different aspects but they all, you know, come down to the same basic level, is that this negative energy is coming from the negative reptilian order, point blank, period. It is not coming from anywhere else. And this I just find incredibly interesting. But today's message from Lucifer, well, I channeled this a few days ago, but it felt right to bring it forward today. I think I've been gearing myself up to bring it forward, everyone. But the pre-channeled message from Lucifer was titled My Way and the Infiltration. And he started with, hello. I'm finding it difficult to address all, as I know so many will reject my energy, and this will be with good reason. I've been many aspects to so many of you in the collective. As I've stated in the past, I'm merely an energy and expression of all that is possible. Therefore, I am many things, a multitude of things. At my core, I am an angel. In my soul, I am of light. In my soul, I am of light. In my darkness, I am used as a pawn for aspects that so many wish to experience, so that they can then gain deeper knowledge of all realms and reason. And I think I want to expand on that message, this idea of that Lucifer is inherently of light, but in his darkness, he is used to help others understand what it means to live, you know, in a darker realm, in a darker aspect, in a more shadow aspect. And, you know, I use the word shadow lightly, but there are definitely shadow beings out there that work for this darker order that I will explain, I think, in a few more channelings down. But just this idea of wanting to understand everything. There are souls out there that decide, you know, there is expressions of source that they want to experience in their lifetime. So Lucifer is often used within that to help guide people through darker aspects of light, but he is inherently of darker aspects of the darkness, but he is inherently of light, everyone. And you know, when I go back to my Catholic understanding of what Lucifer is, you know, he is the fallen angel, but he was an angel. And I think we often forget that. I've forgotten that at some point in my journey when everything was just incredibly dark. You know, I was having to say no to any bit of darkness so I could pull myself completely out of the darkness, you know. And I think some of you have been on that journey, but we're of an expanse now where we get to peddle both sides of the spectrum. And I say this term loosely because you have to have strong boundaries. And you know, every day I have to remind myself that I am of light, because I have spent many lifetimes in the darkness, and this is something that, you know, my teams of light share with me often. And you know, I do have to remind myself that I deserve to be in the light, and that, you know, I'm not inherently of dark, because that energy is so strong. But he says, I'm here with you all now to share my understandings of where I believe us to be in evolution, where I wish to take a stand in some realms and offer my understanding, as I too have been infiltrated and used by the negative reptilian order for its own coercive understandings and ideologies. I wish to claim in the here and now, I am not here to guide, merely to offer up understanding to those that want to release themselves from the past and such rigidity. We are coming to a time where the past truly need collapse on itself so that we can expand further. I'm no friend here. I'm not a guide. I'm merely a marker point in time and understanding. And I would like to share that doesn't necessarily go for everyone. I think that some of us out there in the collective, myself being one of them, you know, I've spent many, many lifetimes with Lucifer, I've been told. So I do see him as, how do I want to word this? Because I don't want to trigger anyone, but I do see him as a guide to some degree, because I think his layer of understanding has really helped me understand myself. And I think that is where a lot of the collective, perhaps the younger collective at this stage, everyone, you know, kind of battling with these energies and battling with strict religion. You know, I think some people kind of find themselves lost in that space, which is where I was. I went to Catholic schooling, but I wasn't necessarily Catholic, and I didn't know what I believed in. I felt like I believed in something. I felt an energy outside of self, a light outside of self, I used to call it, but I didn't necessarily believe in God. And, you know, I was as adventurous as they come back then. So, you know, I was guided towards the taboo because I felt like I didn't have a space, you know. Everything that they were telling me to do, I didn't want to do. So then I turned to the opposite side of that, and, you know, I got to understand that, and it led me to some pretty dark spaces too. And, you know, I think that we are now allowed to look at both sides because we've expanded so much that we get to see an outsider's perspective. You know, I'm kind of coming at this at more of an objective view, and I'm trying to not, you know, label something as inherently bad or inherently good. Like, that is not what we are doing anymore. There is an in-between, there is a sliding scale, there are those that are on specific paths, and that's what Lucifer is trying to bring forward with this energy. So, you know, he isn't a guide here, but perhaps he has been a guide to you in the past. Perhaps, you know, he is an energy that you feel that is inherently of light for you this lifetime, and that is okay. You know, that is okay to feel that. There will be some here that know me much more at a personal level, and I'm here to communicate with you if you so choose. I know this will not be for everyone. I know there will be many that may turn away and wish to run a mile. I understand. I am not offended or here to punish anyone that chooses to not continue to view this information or wish to know this depth of truth. And that is absolutely true, everyone. You know, if you decide that you don't want to watch any more channelings from Lucifer, you will not be punished in any which way or form. Do not feel like you have to be here to be witness to these messages. I feel like you will understand if this aligns with your understanding or something that you feel like you might be wanting to understand this lifetime. And, you know, if it's not your realm, that is completely okay. I do believe that there are some souls out there that aren't supposed to even be looking at the darkness this lifetime. I feel like we need those souls to anchor in as much light as we can. But I've had to understand that I'm here to peddle both because I've been both in so many lifetimes. And, you know, that is my truth. That is my understanding. And, you know, me being able to be here right now, I had to be in the realms of darkness. And that was why I was there, you know. But there is a layer of shame that comes along with that. You know, I've seen the things that I've done. I've seen the things that I've become, you know, fell at the mercy of many, many lifetimes. And yeah, there is a layer of shame that I've been working through within that, but I feel like I'm ready to step forward and, you know, share all of my darkness as much as my light. Where did I get to? However, I'm here to state claim that there are many in the collective believing that they are connecting with my energy when it is in fact the negative reptilian order. And this is the main message that Lucifer wants to bring forward. What you do not understand is that I merely offer a container to allow those to seek the darker side, and then they can then choose where they wish to reside. So this idea that Lucifer steps forward and literally does offering up a container of understanding, you know, he is there to almost safeguard those spaces of darkness. And that was the first, I think, understanding that I had outside of Lucifer from, you know, my Catholic upbringing and me receiving just a lot of dark energy from these spaces, and now knowing that actually that was coming from the negative reptilian order rather than Lucifer's inherent energy and why he is actually here. So in a lot of spaces, Lucifer just opens up a container of all that is possible. So there is light and dark from source. Lucifer opens up a container of source energy, you know, that is of a darker nature for those to experience it so that they can have a well-rounded soul's experience and expansion. And for those that, you know, perhaps want to be working even more in the light as guides for others, like you have to have understanding of this darkness to be able to do that. So Lucifer is predominantly there for that a lot of the time. So anything else, you know, outside of that, and he'll go on to explain a little bit more. So I think I'll stop there. And he said, I'm never here to claim you or your soul for eternity. This is a myth. There are those that have pledged allegiance to my energy, me being one of them, and that have then decided to turn to the light, this is possible, and it is always a layer that is brought forward. This is dependent upon that soul's journey. So if you feel like you have been damned by my energy, I can assure you this isn't me. So this idea of feeling like that you cannot step forward to the light, that the light isn't for you, that you do not deserve to be in the light, that is not Lucifer's energy. You know, at the point where you say, I do not wish to be in the dark anymore, you'll be guided back to the light. The only things that tell you that you cannot step forward into the light are beings that are connected to the negative reptilian order. And, you know, I had to shake myself at this and say, like, how can that be true? But if you think about it, light and dark exists everywhere. And I was guided to, you know, spaces that I've gone into meditation where I've gone to the higher realms and I've seen, it's almost like a mist that exists in the higher realms. So it's like darkness doesn't truly disappear, but it's almost like a mist that exists within the light, and it's not as dense as here. Light and dark have to exist at the exact same time. Like, that is just the laws of the universe. But in some spaces, the light is inherently the light, so the darkness isn't as dense. We are on a planet right now where the darkness is so dense, and that's what we are fighting away from, everyone. So he continues, this will be a layering of the negative reptilian order, guising as demons or other such darkness. I am everything, but I am no ruler. Light and dark exist in the exact same form. However, the light does always truly prevail. And I've seen that in other spaces. This dear one has had apprehension in bringing this information forward. I have spoken at length with this being. She understands that I am at her mercy. I work for her, not with or alongside. And he does step forward and say that to me all of the time. And I'll explain a discussion that I had with Lucifer very recently with regards to energy and myself. I bow down to this light and all light that resides in each of you. I hope you can come to understand exactly what has been happening on your planet, your realms, and these timelines. It has truly run amok, as I think that they say. And then he was deciding how he would like to sign off, and he said, how to sign off? Here I am, take me as you wish. And I hadn't realized how profound that signing off was until I read it back today. Here I am, take me as you wish. And that is truly Lucifer's energy. Lucifer will step forward in whatever energy you give him. And, you know, I felt like this was the most simple understanding of the darkness and where we find ourselves right now, is that unless something is attached to the negative reptilian order, you can turn this light, this darkness, into light. It's through intention. And, you know, so many times on this journey I've said, keep calling in your light, keep calling in your light, and your light outweighs any bit of darkness that is out there. And, you know, it wasn't until I came face to face with demonic energy where everything was just, you know, chaotic at a point, and I thought, this is a lot of just fear tactics that happens with regards to the darkness and its energy. And I think Lucifer is going to bring a lot more of that information forward in the next few channelings with regards to how that all manifests, what that all means. But I think at this first message, he just wants you to understand, if you or anyone else around you has, you know, pledged allegiance to his energy, to any energies of darkness at this time, if they feel like they cannot step towards the light for whatever reason, there is an influence of the negative reptilians there, point blank, period. And, you know, I know that this sounds extreme. I felt like this was, I don't know, I felt like I was crazy bringing this information forward, because I don't think I've ever heard it being brought forward in such a precise way before. But that's the truth, everyone. Everything is just coming full circle, and all of my, you know, research leads back to them time and time again. And Lucifer, I had a conversation with Lucifer last week, and he was bringing forward this understanding of, you know, there is the higher realms up here. We have the middle realms right now, which is where most of you are. And, you know, there is differentiations between those realms. And then you have like this bottom subsect that, you know, I have been to a few times, and it doesn't belong in the realm above. You feel it instantly. This was the energy of Satan. When I very first got taken down to face any of this dark energy, I got took down to his level, and it was something else. And, you know, I cannot describe this energy, but I know it, and I know when it comes in, and I feel it. And it doesn't belong where we are, everyone. And, you know, this energy is connected to the negative reptilians somewhere. And this is like ancient reptilian energy. This is what I believe this strong-holding energy to be. And, you know, we receive pockets of this energy, you know, when they are pummeling through all of this negative energy. This is coming from these ancient beings somewhere. And I just wanted to remind some of you out there that might be struggling in times of, you know, stepping forward into the light, believing that you deserve to, you know, live the life that you want to live. Where is that energy coming from? Is it coming from, you know, you? Is it coming from fear? Is it coming from, you know, outside of self, other beings? Are you hearing voices from other things that might not necessarily be your own internal dialogue? I was realizing that this was something that was happening to me over and over and over again in my lifetime. I would, you know, hear this voice and I felt like it was mine. I kept saying over and over again this lifetime, I feel like I'm evil, because I would think things, I would, you know, bite my tongue at things that I wish, I guess some things I wanted to express and share, but I knew that somewhere it wasn't deemed as acceptable. And somewhere behind the scenes, because I'd, you know, pledged allegiance to Lucifer's energy, the negative reptilians had hijacked, you know, that thread that I then opened. And this is happening time and time again. And the Bible does link into this in other spaces and aspects, everyone. And where I think we are going with this information, I know that this might seem quite random to some of you that have come here to this channeling, perhaps fresh, I would say, start at the beginning of the Darkness series. But what I believe we're coming to now is the differentiation between alchemy and magic and strict religion, and where the negative reptilian order have, you know, adopted this idea of anything outside of the light, you know, higher level beings to be of darkness and not allowed to be of light, you know. And I think we're bridging the gap between magic and strict religion, and allowing us to come and meet in a center space to fight this negative reptilian order together. No matter what you believe in this time, you need to let that all go and just realize that we are all here just fighting this negative energy for the X amount of time, and that should be our main focus. It should be getting rid of this negative reptilian order with inside of selves, those that are around us, those that we can help, and allowing us to step forward in our light, whatever that means to us, and whatever understanding that is, you know, step forward in your highest vibration, and understanding that anything that is telling you that you can't live a life of light, whatever that means to you at this time, anything that is stopping you from living the life that you wish to be living and experiencing, is coming from this negative reptilian order, nowhere else at this moment in time, in our predominant timelines, everyone, which is the people that I'm speaking to right now. And I dare say that this message is actually going to be for the next generation predominantly that are stepping forward, because they've been mixed up in a lot of different occult energies and magic somewhere, everyone, that is just getting ever more complex by the day, the more that I delve into and the more that I try and understand it. But what my understanding is that, you know, magic is considered evil somewhere. The negative reptilians have hijacked that, you know, to be that as their truth. And actually they've taken a lot of alchemy, energy, alchemization, and, you know, labeled that as being something negative or dark, which is mirroring from religion that in some aspects has been used to control us, to let us believe that alchemy is dangerous, that shouldn't be for us, you know, that only dark beings, you know, partake in alchemy to keep us trapped where we are in a lower vibration, everyone. This is the message that is wanting to be brought forward from Lucifer, you know, the fallen angel from somewhere. He is wanting to share that we can have our freedom in the light at any time. We get to decide when that is. And the minute that we understand that this negative voice isn't our own is the minute that you have complete freedom this lifetime, everyone. But I think that's all I wish to share today. I know there was a lot in there, and apologies. I feel like I'm trying to pull in all different aspects of understanding. But at the stepping stone where we are looking at the dark and looking at the light, and considering, you know, where the in-between spaces that we can work with right now, everyone. But that's all from me today. Do take care. I'll be back real soon.